All right, so one of the things we need to be able to do for the AP exam is to write a Taylor polynomial. So for a Taylor polynomial, in general, if you want the nth degree Taylor polynomial at some value c, you're going to do the function value at c plus the derivative value at c times x minus c plus the second derivative at c times x minus c squared all over 2 factorial. That pattern is going to continue for as many derivatives as you need. So it goes to the nth derivative at c, x minus c to the n all over n factorial. Since this is a polynomial, it has an ending point. You're not concerned with writing a series. You don't need the general term. So this is just in general a Taylor polynomial. Remember that a Maclaurin polynomial is the same thing. It's just it's centered at 0 instead of being centered at some value c. So let's look through different types of problems you could see with this. So we want to write the second degree Taylor polynomial. So whatever degree it tells you to do, that's how many derivatives you're going to need to take. So second degree means you need the function value, you need the first derivative, and you need the second derivative. So your function is ln of x. The derivative of ln is 1 over x. The derivative of 1 over x is negative 1 over x squared. So then it tells you we're doing this at x equals e. So that means you're going to take e and plug it into every single one of those. So ln and e are inverses, so that's going to come out to 1. And then we have 1 over e, and then negative 1 over e squared. So then you just follow the pattern that's up there in the top left corner. So your function value at e is 1. Your first derivative is 1 over e. And then you multiply it by x minus e, because that's what we're centered at. The second derivative is negative 1 over e squared. You do x minus e squared, and that's over 2 factorial. Now, it is 100% right to leave it like that. You can also simplify it down. These first two terms don't change. But the second term, you would divide this by the 2 factorial, and you'd get 1 over 2e squared x minus e squared. So either of those would be acceptable answers for your second degree Taylor polynomial. So for a question like that where it gives you the function, you literally just take however many derivatives you need, plug a number in, and then write the polynomial. Now this question 2 over here is really even the same concept, but what it does is it gives you just an general formula for whatever the derivative is. So this is true for everything n greater than or equal to 0, and we want again the second degree Taylor polynomial. So that means we need f of 0, we need f prime of 0, and we need f double prime of 0. Now for f of 0, that means we haven't taken any derivatives yet, so that would mean n is equal to 0. First derivative is n equal to 1, second derivative is n equal to 2. So you're literally just going to plug those things into this formula. So negative 1 to the 0 times 0 plus 1 over 2 to the 0. So anything to the 0 is 1, so you end up with 1 over 1, so just 1. Then we have negative 1 to the 1 times 1 plus 1 over 2 to the 1, so that's going to come out to negative 1. And then negative 1 squared times 2 plus 1 over 2 squared is going to come out to 3/4. So what that does is it does the exact same thing that these values do over here. Those are your coefficients. You're just going to plug those into the formula. So your first term, f of 0, is 1. F prime is negative 1. This time it's just times x, because if you do x minus 0, that's just x. And then you have 3/4 times x squared over 2 factorial. Again, it's 100% right to leave it like that, or you can simplify it down to plus 3/8 x squared. So either of these would be fine for your answers. Okay, so the last situation is actually the easiest of them. They literally give you what the different function values are. So number one, you had to actually take derivatives and then plug stuff in. Number two, you just had to plug stuff in and that gave you your numbers. Number three, they've given you what your numbers are already and you just have to write the polynomial. The thing you got to be careful of is looking right here to see what you're centered at to make sure that you write it like a Taylor polynomial rather than a Maclaurin polynomial. So your first term is 7, your next term is 6, and then you're centered at -2, so minus negative makes it positive. Then your next term is 18 minus -2 squared over 2 factorial. That could simplify down to 7 plus 6x plus 2 minus 9x plus 2 squared. So that is if you are given information about the function and you need to write the polynomial. So you're either going to need to take derivatives or plug stuff in or just write what they've given you and make the Taylor polynomial. I'm going to do another video where if you're already given the polynomial, how do you work backwards?